This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, done. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Goa branch, ICAI Vaibhav Vare, Secretary of the branch, welcome all of you. This very special webinar organized by 4 leading organizations of Goa. This is, I think, one of the very rare occasion when 4 leading organizations of Goa, along with Government of Goa, have come together for the sole purpose of benefit of MSMEs in Goa. Welcome all of you. This very special webinar, hope will be beneficial to everyone in the industry, members of the profession. Now I request Chairman, Branch Chairman CA Gaurav Kekre to kindly address the gathering.
Yes, thank you, Vaibhav. A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries, President of the Goa Chamber, Ralph Sir, Vice President of GSI, Anirudh Bab, EDC MD, BS Angle, other dignitaries, our faculties, Navjot Sir, Geeta Madam, and others in the audience. A very good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you. So today, as Vaibhav has said, today is a very unique program, and because today is a very unique day, today 27th of June is the World MSME Day, and we thought of commemorating this by dedicating this date to the MSMEs of Goa. So today we are focusing mainly on all the schemes which are available to MSMEs from the Goa government as well as from the central government. We have got expert faculties who are going to take us through all of these, and we hope that this initial primer on these schemes forms a good base for our industry to take these incentives and to be financially stable in these rocky economic conditions. So we plan to engage with the industry a lot more this year. We want to move away from the regular mold of CAs, that is just an auditor or accountant, and we want to move into a facilitator or a business enabler kind of role. We would like to expand our reach and expand our benefits, because as you know, CAs have got the technical capability. We just need to push the envelope and expand our boundaries. So with that short address, I would like to hand it back to our secretary for further deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav. Now I request GCCI President Shri Souza kindly address the gathering. Ralph, sir.
Good evening, Honorable Chief Minister of State of Goa, Dr. Pramod Sawant, Mr. Gaurav Kekre, Chairman of ICAI Goa, Mr. Payangle, Managing Director of EDC, Mr. Anirudh Bab, Vice President, GSIA, the program, the guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me an immense pleasure to speak on this MSME Day today. The International Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Day is observed every the world on June 27th to celebrate a strong contribution of the MSME business in growth and development of any economy. The day marks the importance of MSME in the development of the country in terms of creating employment opportunities and earning revenue for the state. MSME Day is dedicated to raising awareness of the need for greater investments into small and mid-sized business in developing countries. But it also is a celebration of a gigantic contribution that smaller companies make to the global economy, often away from the spotlight. My honored colleagues on this webinar will cover the aspects of MSME impact on the economy as such, and I will focus on the specifics which apply to our lovely state of Goa. The government of Goa is supporting MSME in a big way, and I take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Chief Minister for extending the preferential purchase incentive scheme for micro and small industries. GCCI had represented the same to the government of Goa. The scheme gives micro and small enterprises special treatment in government contracts, allowing small firms to match the lowest tender price quoted by the large companies, while meeting the quality standard. It also provides exemptions for MSME with waiver of security deposits, thus helping the cash flow. Thank you, sir. The government of India had recently released a draft MSME policy, and GCCI has submitted the suggestions to the same. We are proud to say that we have associated in giving our contribution on this. As we were invited MSME government of Goa to present our views through video conference on 10th of June 2022. Due to lack of time, I shall discuss briefly the 5 suggestions made by the Chamber, keeping in mind Goa's economic ecosystem. 1. Raw material. Procurement of raw materials become a major issue due to absolute scarcity, poor quality, high costs. Due to this, MSME have to resort to open market purchase. We have just strict facilities and to address this issue. Second, finance. Finance issues are caused by 2 reasons. It is partly due to scarcity of capital as whole and weak credit worthiness of the MSMEs. The Chamber has suggested aggressive implementation of the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro and small enterprises, which provides funding without collateral. The banks are reluctant to disburse funds against the scheme, and we have proposed a continuous follow-up system to ensure that the scheme is utilized. Akush, MSME cluster. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Am I
sir, you're
audible?
audible.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. MSME cluster. This will help a mass manufacture of a product which can cater to large orders. These clusters can guarantee combined raw material orders, bringing down the cost. Share technology and have common testing centers. Financial institutes will be willing to fund such schemes and clusters. 4. Technology upgrades. This is an area for improvement as the units are not willing to upgrade. They still depend on the old methods. This will also help in quality improvement. Best practices. The Chamber has also suggested that a benchmarking be done of the best practices available in India, and the same be shared with the developing states. State-wise requirements can be attained and action taken accordingly. I also take the opportunity to inform everyone that GCCI is organizing a stakeholder consultation meet on districts as export hubs, an initiative by our Honorable Prime Minister. This is being held in association with Director General of Foreign Trade, DGFT, and Department of Industries, Trade and Commerce, Government of Goa. Chamber requests your presence on 30th of June 2022 at 10:30 a.m. in the GCCI Convention Hall. The DGF team along with Department of Industries will be present. Finally, we wish the MSME movement all the very best and urge the stakeholders to come forward with the suggestions and issues for a better economic growth. Thank you and a big God bless.
Thank you, Ralph, sir. Thank you, Ralph, sir. Now I request DDC Managing Director, Shri B.S. Payangle, sir, to kindly address the gathering. You are on mute, sir.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Very good afternoon to all of you. I would like to thank Goa branch of ICAI for giving EDC an opportunity to collaborate in this virtual webinar. Even though most of you may know EDC very well, let me tell you a little bit about EDC for all those who may not have had much association with us in the past. EDC was a development banking financial institution under IDBI, extending project finance since 1975 in Goa, Daman and Diu. Of late, we have discontinued in Daman and Diu. Prior to 2000, most of the entrepreneurs availed long-term finance for all industrial projects from EDC for funding their projects, and banks extended working capital. With the opening up of the Indian economy, the banks also started extending, and we also have continued. EDC has been supporting MSME sector over the last 47 years, and the corporation has extended loan assistance to more than about 12,000 entrepreneurs in the state. Since inception in 75, the corporation has sanctioned over 3,500 crores of term loans under its various schemes. Many of the units set up in industrial estates financed by EDC have grown to larger units. EDC has been associated, if not with every second, at least every third unit in Goa over the last 4.5 decades. Many of the at EDC, we mainly extend finance for creation of fixed assets for project finance. Therefore, the finance can be availed for acquiring land, building, premises, plant and machinery, etc. for MSME, hotels, etc. As we do not have banking operations, we restrict extending working capital finance. The state government operates some of its schemes exclusively through EDC. These schemes come with a very low cost of finance with very good terms and are some of the best in the country. However, EDC being NBFC under RBI purview, we do have our checks and balances, and in case we are unable to finance any project, we make it clear immediately. The corporation operates Chief Minister's Rozgar Yojana scheme, which is a collateral-free financial assistance up to 25 lakhs, is considered at interest rates as low as 4% to support new entrepreneurs and promote employment. The interest rebate scheme operated by the corporation provides interest rebate up to 9% per annum on loans availed from EDC. I would like to invite entrepreneurs who are your clients to avail MSME loans from EDC to finance their projects in the state of Goa. Today, later on in the program, our DGM, Mr. John D'Souza, will make a detailed presentation on all the schemes we operate. I'm sure knowing these schemes will help all of you to get a good idea about how one could guide all budding as well as existing entrepreneurs to obtain finance at a very low cost. This would improve their profitability as well. I thank you once again for the participation and wish you all the best in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Anglesh sir. EDC is always there for Goans.
Yes.
So next, I request Shri Anirudh Dempo, Vice President of GSIA, kindly address the audience.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Thank you for this opportunity to speak at this forum. My compliments to the ICAI headed by Gaurav Kinkre and your entire team for putting together this event, which is, I think, a much needed knowledge session that is required, and I believe most of your attendees would be CAs. So it's a great train the trainer kind of a platform, and I'm glad you have put this together. I'd like to mention that GSI, I represent GSI over here, and GSI is the Goa State Industries Association is a apex body of MSMEs in the state of Goa with more than 500 MSME members across the state, mainly focused in the manufacturing sector. Most of our members are part of the industrial estates, the 23 industrial estates of Goa, but not necessarily that. We also have patron members who are non-MSME members. GSI has been an active advocate of policies as well as been vocal for change and affirmative action in conjunction with the state government. and we are happy to be part of this program today. So thank you for that. So I wouldn't want to say too much, which is as the devil lies in the detail, and when the sessions begin, you would get to know the details. But I am a part of the task force committee for the umbrella schemes, one of the sessions which is being will be conducted in detail by Geeta later. And I can say from my first-hand experience that this is a well thought out, with the right intention scheme with genuine benefits for the MSMEs of Goa. It is fairly underutilized and under subscribed to in terms of the number of applications. So there is possibly a need, there is definitely a need for more awareness creation. The scheme is not perfect yet, but nothing is perfect and should be waited till that time that it is perfect to be rolled out. I think GST is a case in point that it's improved over time. So has this scheme. It's taken us a little bit of time in terms of getting things in order and then eventually disbursement. But before this program, I was checking with Geeta about the disbursement status, and last 2 years, as you know, there has been some stress on the exchequer. So money has been limited, but I'm to understand that close to 50 lakhs has been sanctioned and is with DITC and is going to be disbursed to individual beneficiaries in the next week, and more to come later on. So there's a good amount of budgeting that has already been done with the by the government, and I urge all the CAs here to encourage their their clients to look into this scheme. As we know today, the markets have become very competitive. The economy of scale curve is moving up. The margins are reducing with competition, which means that there is certainly a need for handholding of MSMEs. And I think this scheme aims to do that. Having said that, Gaurav, another request to you would be, like I said, nothing is perfect. And whatever shortcomings or improvements that you particularly and the collective feels may please be brought to our notice, and we would be happy to ideate with you and put it forward. I can say that both the committee as well as the which is chaired by the DITC chairwoman right now, chairperson, IAS Shwetika Sachan has their intentions in the right place, and we will definitely look at that. So I think collaboratively we can make it better so that it is able to take care of the gap that is really needed, rather than have shots fired in the wrong direction. So if we can make it more focused, that would be more effective for the end beneficiaries. On that note, I'd once again compliment the whole committee for bringing this program together, and hope to be of any hope to collaborate going forward than just having this day as a starting point, and we can improve and get more benefits to the MSMEs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anirudh. Thank you for showing faith in CAs, and Goan CAs are definitely there with you and will provide constructive suggestions.
Yeah. Just to add, CA Kedar Kenkre is part of the committee as well, and he's a sane voice on the committee, bring the but he's there as a private member, the name member. But the dialogue should be there. So that's all I would like to say. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you once again. Murtuza sir is not yet joined back.
I think he's there. Sir, are you there, Murtuza sir?
Murtuza sir.
I can see him in the attendee list, probably heading back to his spot. But Anirudh, I will definitely we will take you up on your invitation to collaborate and give you the feedback. Just to give a further information or a sneak peek into what's in the future, in the very immediate future, today evening, we are releasing a book on MSME schemes. So all these schemes will be documented and it will be given to the public at large. Just give me a second. I'm getting a call from the CMO. Hello. We'll be releasing this book in the evening, and in the during the compiling of the book, we found a lot of issues, and in some of the issues in the schemes, we'll definitely compile them and provide it to you, and you can take it up with the respective department. So I think with that, Mutra sir, I think is not here, but Vaibhav, can you take over? I'll just check up with if the CM is ready or not.
Yeah.
So I've just got information that the CM will be here in around 7-8 minutes. So I think we have perfect time for Mutra sir and us also to complete our initial part, and then we have the CM's virtual presence here. So as I said, we have compiled the schemes of the industries department, of the startup policy, and the EDC as well. We have tried to make them as user friendly as possible, and the goal is to have it at one place. So in that one book, we will have all the schemes of the Goa government. Of course, this is the first attempt that we have done. I don't think anyone else has tried this. So it is going to be an incremental approach. We hope to add more and more schemes as and when they are announced, or as and when we discover them that they are there. Because I think one of the pet points of the CM in the last election campaign was that there are so many schemes, but there are hardly anyone who are aware of them. So it was a good discovery for us also to discover that yes, this scheme exists and this could have been easily taken by the businesses. So we'll be releasing the book today evening on MSME day, and we plan to keep on updating concurrently the book as and when the schemes come up. So this is definitely going to be just the first stepping stone towards making Goa truly Atmanirbhar or Swayambhurna from that perspective. Another initiative that ICAI has taken is we have offered to, okay, we have Mutra sir now. Sir, would you like to start?
Yes, Gaurav.
Yes, sir, please, welcome.
Thank you. So,
sir is our chairman of the Western region of ICAI. He's a very, very dynamic individual and very pro-industry. So I think we couldn't think of anyone better to address us today. Sir, please.
thank you, Gaurav. Thanks a lot. So, very warm good afternoon to all the participants here today. And I am given to understand that there are a lot of senior people from multiple industry corporates as well. So I welcome all of you, sir. And Chairman of Goa branch, Gaurav, I should say dynamic chairman. Continuously, I am saying not a single day goes without any program, and the completely dynamic and active team, young and dynamic team, continuously something or the other is going on, and really good work being done by you guys, and thank you very much and keep up the good work, guys. So coming to today's subject, I think, see, MSMEs, the entrepreneurs who run small and medium enterprises, they are very good at their business. So like whether it is manufacturing, whether it is a software, whether it is a KPO, BPO, the guys are excellent. They got business sense. They know what will sell. They can make a good product or service, and they can deliver well on time. The challenge is they are neither accountants nor lawyers, and they need all this support which is around. And if we actually look within our own clientele also, and if a particular client or organization is doing a 5 crores, they can easily scale up to 50 crore rupees. What they need is from our side the support, and I think mainly the support comes on couple of fronts. One is like multiple legal agreements, whether they take a premises on rent, whether they enter into contract with customers, whether they enter into contract with creditors, or is there anything else. So I think a lot of those compliances in terms of legal, if we can give them support, it will be like one headache less for them, and they will be able to focus more on their business. Similarly, as organizations grow, the team also grows, and that is when I think the people do not know how to do and what to do. And I think that is where writing of formal policy procedures, creating an authority metric, that who is authorized to issue purchase order for how much amount, or who is authorized to sign a check. So I think our Chief Minister, Dr. Pramod Sawant, has joined. And Gaurav, over to you. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir. Chief Minister of
So,
Goa,
very
Dr.
warm
Pramod
welcome to
Sawant
the
has
Chief
joined us.
Minister of Goa, Dr. Pramod Sawant. He has been a big pillar of support for ICAI. All our initiatives, he has been with us, and we hope to work further with the government in making Goa a state where industry comes willingly and thrives and survives. Over to you, CM sir, for your address.
Thank you, Gaurav. The chairman of the Goa branch WIRC ICA, the chairman of the WIRC of ICA of the Western region, the president of Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the vice president of the Goa State Industry Association, and MD of EDC Limited, and all the attendees for today's seminar. Firstly, I wish all the attendees the very happy World MSME Day. The webinar being held on 27th June 2022, defeating a program to commemorate the World MSME Day, announced by United Nations year 2017. Micro, small and medium entrepreneurs, also known as MSME, are indeed the backbone of our country. In India, the MSME around the 45% of the manufacturing output and approximately 40% of the country's export. It is no wonder that Honorable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, has always kept the MSME in focus. The rolling out the several initiatives and schemes for MSME. The Goa government too is leaving no stone unturned to ensure that MSME is not only survive but thrive in Goa. On this occasion, I applaud the Goa branch of the WIRC of ICAI for organizing this vital webinar in association with the major trade bodies of the state. This webinar focuses on educating the MSME and public at large about the various financial support schemes and initiatives being run by the government as well as the central government. I'm sure all the attendees today will benefit it hugely. As the Chief Minister of the state of Goa, I always emphasized on the fact that the Goa government has so many different schemes, but the public at large are not fully aware of all these benefits. This sort of webinar helps the government to spread its message far and wide. We are always more than ready to help and supporting the business in the state. Running a business is not easy. It's a 24/7 job in 365 days. And entrepreneurs has to worry about all sorts of issues such as the sourcing of material, the labor issues, capital investment, loan repayment, the marketing and sales, after sales services also, the taxes and compliances. Our government, jointly with the central government, has always tried to assist the entrepreneurs and businesses by making any or all of us about us as easy as possible. In Goa, we have the existing scheme under the various buckets. We have some fantastic scheme under the industries department, which are all the household under the umbrella scheme. The scheme provides all sorts of support, right from the interest subsidy, capital subsidy, and even the employment subsidy for employing the Goan worker. We have the EDC Limited, which offers the finance by extremely competitive rates. In fact, one of the flagship interest rebate scheme of EDC provides for the interest rebate of up to 9%. Either effective rate of the interest can be merely by the 1 or 2% for the eligible businesses. The EDC Limited has extremely attractive Chief Minister Rozgar Yojana, which provides the platform for the self-employment to the thousands of the micro and small entrepreneurs of the young Goans. Under the startup policy, our state supports all the sorts of technology startups in various ways, such as the reimbursement of the running expenses, salary expenses, IPR, and R&D expenses, etc. It is no wonder that so many startups have sprung up in Goa for the last few years. Very recently, our industry minister, Mr. Mavini Gudino, has released the draft of the Goa Industrial Growth and Investment Promotional Policy 2022. It takes the thrust of promoting the non-polluting sectors like ecotourism, adventure tourism, entertainment, food processing, education, R&D amongst them. This shows that the government is constantly thinking on the improving of the startup industries in Goa and determined to improve the ease of doing the business in Goa. In these efforts, and we are glad to have supporting of the organizations like the ICAI, GCCI, GSAI, and EDC Limited, which makes over the task easier. We have signed the several MOU and which will be the benefits for the state of Goa and its businesses, and all it talks with the ICAI to sign off the MOU and which will be enable the MSME to get the skilled and best resources person from across the country. We dream of the Goa where the setting up of the business should be the easy as relaxing on the beach of the sunny day. We dream of Goa where there is entrepreneurs and business can flourish and coexist with the Goa's screen natural beauty. We dream of Goa where there is no youth should be worried about his future. He would be either have the enough skill and talent to be self-employed, or that we would be easily absorbable into any of the thousands of the businesses in Goa. We dream of an Atmanirbhar Swayambhurna Goa where the MSME not only to support the entrepreneurs who own them, but they also creates the job and means of livelihoods for the hundreds and thousands of others. We have seen the dreams together with all Goans, including the bodies like the ICAI, GCCI, and GSAI, and we are convinced that these dreams is achievable if we all continue to work together. Your government has to able to set up the ministers under the every field of to come out with the path and breaking the revolutionary and innovative solutions, and we need to support all the stakeholders to achieve this goal. The programs like are the wonderful the way of getting the entries businesses ecosystem together, whereby we jointly accomplish the much more than what we could individually. So I once again applaud the ICAI and GCCI, GSAI, and along with the EDC Limited for this unique and first of its kind webinar, where they are imparting the vital knowledge to our MSME. We the representatives of the government, the pledge today to strive even more and under the direction of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to take the MSME to scale the new height of success and excellence. With this, I'll say the Goa will be always supportive for all the industries in MSME sector. On the occasion of the today MSME day, I will say that whatever the help required from the industries department, otherwise from the government of Goa, will stood with all the organizations. सोपयता असताना तुमका सगळ्या जाणांक आयच्या दिसाच्यो उणवणीत परबी दिताच, आणि MSME डेच्या निमित्तान म्हाका दिसता पयलीच फावटी इतल्या मोठ्या प्रमाणात एखाद्या वेबिनाराचेर इतले गोंयांतले MSME सेक्टरांतले लोक एकीकडे येवप, वेबिनाराच्या माध्यमांतल्यान डिस्कशन करप आणि निश्चितच हे दाखोवन दिता की आयच्या MSME डेच्या दिसा गोंयांतले एंटरप्रिनर्स हे कितल्या प्रमाणे ऍक्टिव्ह आसात आणि हाज्या फुडें नवीन MSME येवपा खातीर म्हाका दिसता तुमची सगळ्यांची मदत मेळ्ळ्या उपरांत निश्चितरित्या फुडल्या MSME डेच्या निमित्तान आमकां नवीन एंटरप्रिनर्स, नवीन सुरू जाल्ल्यो MSME हांकां कॉंग्रॅच्युलेट करपा खातीर, तांचे अभिनंदन करपा खातीर निश्चितरित्या वेबिनाराच्या माध्यमांतल्यान तर न्ही, तुम्ही स्वता आमच्या डायरेक्टर ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीजच्या बरोबर मेळून प्रोग्राम ऑर्गनायज करतले. हांव इन्वायट करता आमच्या ICAI हांकां की फुडलो कार्यक्रम जो आसा हो डायरेक्टर ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज आनी IPB हांच्या बरोबर जावचो आणि अशा पद्दतीन जेंच्यांनी नवीन MSME सुरू केल्या तांच्या खातीर आमी तांकां सपोर्ट करपाक, तांकां कॉंग्रॅच्युलेट करपा खातीर विल मीट पर्सनली and will celebrate this MSME day in future. Once again, thank you for all the entrepreneurs those who have joined virtually. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for spending your very important time and addressing us. Goa ICAI will definitely be there with you, and with your government support will definitely help to spread the MSMEs and benefit the MSMEs. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I think Murtada sir can continue. Thank you for waiting, sir.
Yes, Vaibhav. Thank you very much. No, I think really congratulations again, once again, to Gaurav and the whole team. Vaibhav, Vinayak, Thomas, Milen. See the Chief Minister coming and really applauding us for doing this step, taking this program. And I think if we continue like this, lot more programs can be done. Industry will also join with the ministry support, government support. And I think that will also help in building up a lot of entrepreneurial culture. The whole SMEs, they will get a lot of new push and they will be able to really do good work. So leaving from where I was saying, see, basically as the organizations grow, they need some form of policy procedure, they need authority metrics, and that is where we come into play. Of course, like when a person starts business, they use something like a tally, but as they progress ahead, they may need an ERP, okay, like a Zoho or a SAP or a Oracle, and we again, chartered accountants come into play to implement that. Today with data analytics, like a businessman may want to analyze the public data in the public domain to see like what products and services can be sold, how much is the buyer, where it is in which part of the world, and maybe we can even do the analytics and we can help them in identifying and doing that. In addition to that, like wherever automation is required, we can also help people in doing automation. So there is so much more which we can do as chartered accountant at each step. I think what we need to do is like we need to move only from being an accountant and tax consultant into a consultant, real consultant role, and support the organization at each stage. And if we take that pressure off from them, कि अच्छा आपको funding चाहिए, whether it's a private placement, whether it is a venture capital fund or PE fund, whether it is a bank finance, OD or CC, we have a role to play as a chartered accountant. So I think if we take that partnership role and we support the organization in doing the finance, the accounting, the compliances, taxation, automation, digitalization, and even looking at the legal aspect of it, the businessman will be able to do business, focus on his main core business and grow. So I think there are lots of opportunities for us also as organizations grow. And I think we should get involved as a partner really with the small, medium size and small and medium size enterprises and help them to grow further. So that is where it is. And I think we will all be then working towards the goal of attaining the 5 trillion economy, which the PM has dreamt about. So with that, I think let me hand it over back to Vaibhav or Gaurav. Thank you very much for inviting me here. And we always at WRC, any support that you need, we're all together. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you very much. That concludes our formal function. Now, moving towards the technical part, we have three eminent faculties today who will be guiding us with various MSME schemes and projects of state government and central government, also finances. I will briefly introduce the faculties to you first. First, we have Mr. John D'Souza, Deputy General Manager of EDC. He is BPharm and Masters in Management Studies. He joined Goa Financial and Leasing Services, a subsidiary of EDC Limited, as Project Officer in 1993. He joined EDC as Deputy Manager in 2001 in Loans Department and later handled Resources Department. Presently, he is Deputy General Manager EDC, looking after Business Promotion Department. He has over 20 years of experience in business lending. Next, we have Ms. Geeta Joshi. She is MA in Economics and she is currently working as Planning Officer, Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce, Government of Goa since 2016. She is handling work of planning, drafting, and implementation of incentive schemes for MSME in the state of Goa. She has also implemented. She is also helped in implementation of self-employment schemes like Prime Minister Employment Generation Program in the state of Goa. Next faculty we have for today is CA Navjot Singh. He is a partner of indirect tax and business development in Tax True Business Advisors. He is a member of ICAI, having more than 7 years of experience in tax structuring and tax advisory. He has amassed abundant expertise over the years in DGFT and customs related issues such as representation of exporters and importers with the Office of Director General of Foreign Trade. He has argued in large number of cases before revenue authorities and tribunals. He has conducted a large number of indirect tax litigations, assessment, and MNC and listed companies. He is specialist in the field of refund in tax regimes. Here, he is assisting in preparation of documents, representation, and coordinations with various targeted departments for processing various subsidy incentives as announced by the center and state governments. He is member of MSME Business Forum India and assisting a large number of MSMEs to find solutions to varied issues confronted. So these are our very eminent faculties for today. So first, we'll start with first session will be by Shri John D'Souza on finance support to MSMEs. Over to you, John, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank the Goa ICA to give EDC an opportunity to present their schemes, our schemes, to the audience. I thank CA Gaurav as well as CA Weber for taking this initiative. We have just put a presentation so that we can cover up all our schemes which are offered to entrepreneurs in Goa. I will share with you a small presentation. Is it visible?
EDC Limited is a premier financial institution owned by the Government of Goa,
Can you hear?
formerly known as the Economic Development Corporation
Sound echo.
and due.
Is it
It
clear?
was incorporated on 12th March 1975 and has, during the last 47 years of its existence, been a catalyst for economic development and growth in Goa. EDC Limited is registered with the Reserve Bank of India as a non-banking financial company. We provide financial assistance by way of term loans to the industries and businesses set up in Goa. EDC provides term loans under the following categories. First, loans under the schemes formulated by the government, that is Chief Minister's Rozgar Yojana and Goa Tribal Employment Generation Program. Second, business term loans. Third, professional loans for government employees. And fourth, loans to the government of Goa owned corporations involved in the development of infrastructure in Goa. This presentation does not cover the loans offered by EDC to the government of Goa owned corporations, as it would not be relevant to the audience of this webinar. So let us start with the Chief Minister's Rozgar Yojana. The Chief Minister's Rozgar Yojana is a flagship scheme of the government of Goa to promote self-employment and entrepreneurial spirit among the educated unemployed Goans for setting up projects or activities other than dealing in alcohol and tobacco. The project to be financed in case of applicants who are professional degree holders, diploma holders, ITI graduates, etc. could be up to rupees 25 lakhs and up to rupees 20 lakhs in case of others. It may be noted that an amount up to 50% of the eligible project cost may be utilized for acquisition of premises. In case of professionals and technically qualified persons, up to 70% of the eligible project cost may be utilized for acquisition of premises. The finance for the project would come from three sources. First, interest-free share capital from Directorate of Trade and Commerce, that is DITC, which would be repayable in installments along with the EDC term loan. Second, promoters' contribution. And third, the balance project cost would be financed by EDC as a term loan. The interest-free share capital would be provided by the DITC to the tune of 80% of the project cost in case of SC and ST applicants and to the tune of 50% of the project cost in case of others. The promoter's contribution would be 5% of the project cost in case of women, disabled, SC, ST and OBC applicants and 10% of the project cost in case of other applicants. The balance funds, that is 15% of the project cost in case of SC and ST applicants, 45% of the project cost in case of OBC, women and disabled applicants, and 40% of the project cost in case of other applicants would be provided in the form of term loan from EDC at the rate of 8% interest per annum for males and 6% interest per annum for females. The eligibility criteria and other broad parameters of the scheme are as follows. Age. The applicant should be between the age group of 18 to 45 years in case of general category and between the age group of 18 to 50 years in case of widow, disabled person, SC, ST and OBC. Additional relaxation of 5 years can be considered for deserving candidates subject to terms and conditions. Education. The applicant should be minimum 8th pass. However, relaxation can be granted for deserving applicants. Family income. The applicant's family income should not exceed rupees 10 lakhs per annum. Residence proof. The applicant should be a permanent resident of Goa for at least 15 years. Moratorium. The maximum moratorium could be 1 year depending upon the needs of the business. Non-eligibility. The applicant, confirming party and the guarantor should not be defaulters to any financial institutions or banks, and the applicant should not have availed any other subsidy-linked scheme of the government of Goa. Primary security. A first charge of mortgage or hypothecation would be created on the fixed or current assets being financed. Collateral security. For loans for less than 2 lakhs, the personal guarantee of the applicant and spouse or relative is taken as collateral. For loans between rupees 2 to rupees 6 lakhs, an additional personal guarantee of a third party is taken. And for loans above rupees 6 lakh, additionally, a notarized copy of the ownership document of unencumbered immovable property owned by the guarantor commensurate to the loan amount is taken. Now, let us move on to the next loan scheme of the government of Goa. The government of Goa also has a special loan scheme for our tribal community. This scheme, known as the Goa Tribal Employment Generation Program, is implemented primarily by the ST Corporation and EDC Limited. The scheme is more or less in line with the Chief Minister's Rozgar Yojana, with the additional benefit of project cost of up to rupees 25 lakhs for MSME and rupees 15 lakhs for service sectors and trading sector. Promoters contribution as low as 5% of the project cost. 40% subsidy on loan amount and interest at a subsidized rate of 2% per annum. Now that we have covered both the loan schemes of the government of Goa, let us move on to the business loans offered by EDC. EDC offers the following business term loan schemes for businesses being set up and operating in Goa. First, General Term Loan Scheme. Second, Scheme of Financial Assistance against Mortgage of Immovable Properties. Third, Scheme of Loan Assistance for Construction Projects. Fourth, Composite Loan Scheme for EDC clients with good track record. And fifth, Scheme of Term Loan Assistance to Qualified Professionals. The broad parameters of the scheme subject to other terms and conditions are as follows. Purpose. The term loan can be utilized for acquisition or creation of fixed assets as well as for takeover of existing standard loans of the applicant subject to the norms of EDC and feasibility of the project. Some of the common conditions of our business term loan schemes are as follows. Medium, small as well as large enterprises including hospitals, hotels, tourism related activities, construction activities as well as businesses in service sector like professionals etc. are eligible to apply for a business term loan with EDC. In case of takeover, the loan account should be classified as standard for the past 2 consecutive years with the existing bank. The properties being mortgaged to us should not be leased out. Eligibility. Some of the specific requirements of the different loan schemes are as follows. In case of general term loan, the takeover of existing loan of the applicant is possible only if the asset for which the old loan was borrowed was acquired within the last 18 months. In case of mortgage loan and composite loan, the unit should be in existence for at least 5 years and should have cash profits for at least 2 years with net worth positive as on the last financial year. In case of construction loan, the applicant should have experience in construction line for 5 years and should have completed at least 2 projects of minimum built up area of 1000 square meters each. The composite scheme is for applicants who have been our borrowers and have maintained good payment track record for around 2 years. In case of professional loan, the applicant should have a minimum 2 years experience and should be up to the age of 55 years. Quantum of loan. In case of general term loan, mortgage loan and construction loan, the quantum of loan could be up to rupees 4 crores for proprietors, rupees 7 crores for partnership firms and up to rupees 15 crores for companies and LLPs. It may be noted that in case of mortgage loan and composite loan, the maximum loan could be up to 75% of the value of the immovable property being mortgaged. In case of composite loan, since the applicants are our past borrowers and have proven their credibility, the quantum of loan could be up to rupees 8 crores for proprietors, rupees 10 crores for partnership firms and up to rupees 25 crores for companies and LLPs. In addition to the term loan, the applicant could also be granted a working capital term loan up to 40% of the above loan limits. In case of professional loan, maximum loan amount could be up to rupees 75 lakhs. Debt equity ratio. Except in case of construction loan, for all loans up to rupees 50 lakhs, the maximum overall debt equity ratio could be 3:1, and for loans above rupees 50 lakhs, the maximum overall debt equity ratio could be 2:1. In case of construction loan, the maximum overall debt equity ratio could be 1.5:1. It may be noted that in addition to the overall debt equity ratio, the minimum promoter's contribution shall be 25% of the project cost. Margin on security. The margin on security is the percentage by which the value of the primary security exceeds the loan amount. The minimum margin on security required by us is 25% for all loans other than construction loan, in which case we require a minimum margin on security of 35%. As regards the mortgage loan, the minimum margin shall be 10% of the value of the asset being created, and in case of takeover of loan, the margin shall be nil. Security. A security coverage of minimum 100% immovable security by first charge on primary, collateral and/or personal guarantee is required. However, in case of general loan, for loans up to rupees 50 lakhs, if the loan is for financing a movable fixed asset, the loan could be extended by creating a first charge on such asset with the personal guarantee or any other acceptable security of a third party, such as immovable assets, fixed deposits, etc., to commensurate with the loan amount. Rate of interest. All our loans carry a floating interest rate of 9.5% per annum for loans up to rupees 50 lakhs. At a rate band of 9.5% to 11.5% per annum for loans between 50 lakhs to 1 crore, and at a rate band of 9.5% to 12.5% per annum for loans above rupees 1 crore. As regards professional loan, a interest rate of 9.5% per annum is charged. The exact rate is determined based on the credit rating evaluation as per our internal parameters. Here we would like to emphasize on the fact that the borrowers of our business term loans, except for loans for construction projects, are eligible for an interest rebate under the Modified Interest Rebate Scheme 2012 of the Government of Goa. Under this scheme, the following interest rebates can be availed by the borrower in the following categories. Units located in backward taluka of Goa, that is Perne, Sattari, Sangya, Kepe, Kankona, Bicholim and Dharbandoda at 5% per annum. Units promoted by residents or non-resident Goans at 2% per annum. Units promoted by women entrepreneurs at 2% per annum. This interest rebate is subject to a maximum limit of rupees 40 lakhs per annum per unit, and in order to avail the benefit of this rebate, the units should fulfill certain conditions including the following. Number 1, the unit should not fall in the negative list specified by the Government of Goa. Number 2, the unit should have their loan account classified under standard category at the end of the financial year, etc. The detailed MIRS scheme 2012 along with the terms and conditions and the sectors classified in the negative list is available on our website. Tenure. All our loans other than construction loan can have a maximum tenure of 8 years, including a maximum moratorium of 2 years. As regards the construction loan, the maximum tenure could be 5 years, including a maximum moratorium of 2 years. With this, we have covered most of the broad parameters of our business term loan schemes. Let us now move on to the next category of loans provided by EDC, the personal loan for government employees. EDC Limited offers one of the best personal loan scheme to the government employees to cater to any purpose, including the purchase of vehicles for personal use. Eligibility. The loan could be availed by the permanent employee of state or central government as well as by the permanent employees of PSUs, corporations, teachers and staff of aided schools and institutions. Quantum. The loan could be availed for a maximum of 15 lakhs. Margin. The loan would be granted at 0% margin. Rate of interest. The loan would be extended at a floating rate of interest of 9.5% per annum. Tenure. The loan up to rupees 5 lakhs would be for a tenure of 5 years. Loans up to rupees 10 lakhs would be for a tenure of 7 years, and loans up to rupees 15 lakhs would be for a tenure of 8 years. The above tenure would include a moratorium of 1 month and would be subject to the balance service of the applicant. Guarantor. The applicant would require to furnish a personal guarantee of one or more government employees. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the presentation. Although we have sincerely tried to cover all the broad aspects, there might be some changes in some parameters from time to time. Also, we would like to give a disclaimer that every loan proposal shall be considered on its own merits and feasibility analysis, and mere compliance of the eligibility and other criteria may not entitle the applicant for sanction of loan. We would urge you to visit our website www.edc-goa.com to download the detailed schemes and forms and call us on 0832 222 4509 or visit our office at EDC House, Dr. Atmaram Borkar Road, Panji for more clarifications or more details. We thank you for your patient hearing and we sincerely hope that we were able to cover the prominent contours of our loan schemes.
Am I audible? Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. So I hope you have got a fair idea of all our schemes at EDC. And so, what is the takeaway from this presentation? There are a couple of things I would like to highlight. First of all, a Goan entrepreneur can get loan from EDC at the rate of 7.5%. Similarly, a Goan entrepreneur who wants to set up a unit in a backward taluka can get loan at an interest rate of 2.5%. Whereas a women entrepreneur can get loan from EDC at 5.5%. And if the same woman entrepreneur wants to set up a unit in a backward taluka, they can get a loan at an interest rate as low as 0.5%. So I think this is the key takeaway. And also to highlight on our repayment, we offer a repayment of 8 years with a moratorium of around 2 years. Okay, so I hope we have clarified with the scheme. Thanks a lot for once again for giving us an opportunity to present our schemes to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was presentation by EDC on their schemes. Any queries or questions, participants can put in the chat box. If there are no questions, we can move forward to the next session. For next session,
Vaibhav,
Mrs. Geeta.
Yeah, Angle. So if any of the participants have any questions, they can get in touch with us at a later point also, not an issue.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Next session is by Mrs. Geeta Joshi on Goa government schemes for MSMEs. Geeta madam, over to you.
Madam, you are not audible. No, audio is on. Just check your connection. Check your audio settings, please. Yeah. Vaibhav, you are there?
Yes. I think
Yeah,
she's
madam.
having some. Yeah.
She'll take next session, so you can take the next faculty otherwise.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah.
Geeta madam is facing some technical problem with the audio. She'll rejoin in the third session. So we'll move to the next session. Yes, Navjot Singh sir is there. So our next faculty is C. Navjot Singh, and he will be guiding us on national schemes for MSME. Yes, Navjot sir, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, good afternoon to everyone. And my warm regards, Mr. Gaurav, Mr. Vaibhav from Goa branch of WIRC. Thank you. But, my voice is audible, right?
Yes.
Slightly breaking in between.
Just let me reconnect.
I think Navjot, it was good. Can you try and speak again?
Hello. Yes. Is it better now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So actually, I was thanking everyone. So just to continue from thanking everyone is it becomes very difficult. So I thank everyone who is hearing me out and who have given me the opportunity for speaking on the very prominent, I would say, and very important aspect in respect with MSMEs. Because when we talk about MSME in today's time, it's not just a word of medium and small scale enterprises, it is becoming an ecosystem which is very strong in itself. As rightly mentioned by Honorable Chief Minister, that almost 50% of the exports done by India in a global market are being contributed by MSMEs. Apart from that, if we talk about today's scenario, so 64 million enterprises are there, and in past year, if we talk about 6 lakhs jobs were offered by MSME units, or we talk about MSME enterprises. So what brings us to discuss about all these things? When there is a already created, when there is already a aura which is being created by the MSME ministry or by the government initiative, so where we are lacking? Why we need to talk about this MSME, or why we need to strengthen them? When we talk about this word MSME, that in itself means that with the enterprises which are medium or small scale. Now they are unorganized few times. I'm not talking about all of them are unorganized, but few of them, or maybe I would say majority of them from the small enterprises are unorganized. They are unaware of the compliances, value addition to make, competition, quality control. So when we talk about the business, they might be very good in that. But when you talk about all these important aspects of the business, they are lacking somewhere. Now it becomes a duty of us to act as a facilitator for them, or to make them strengthen, because they are ultimately the backbone. So when we talk about strengthening them, government in itself is providing a lot of initiatives for them. And I categorize them in four C's. One can be related to credit, second is related to cash flows, third is related to strengthening the clusters, and then there is a post quality control, and then there are many incentives which are provided by on a national or state level by different state authorities. So today we are going to discuss the key, or I would say the key initiatives taken by government in this respect. Just wait a minute. So when we talk about MSME, let's start with understanding the basics also, like initially, because let's understand why and on what we are going to talk. Let's talk about MSME Act, which was incorporated in 2006. Now, why this act was needed? Because there were a lot of legislative issues which were impacting 2000 to talk about. And like in the late 90s, the sector started growing up. Many small scale businesses started up. Even after the era of globalization, a lot of small scale enterprises grew up. Government support these organizations, but still industry felt that there should be a act who acts kind of a facility. The act was very late. So in 2006, this act got incorporated, which stated the sector scope and investment ceiling, that who will be eligible to be MSME or not. So they created this first legal framework to recognize any enterprise as MSME. After that, one of the important aspect to create a, or I would say enact an act, was needed because a legislative consultation process was very much needed, because to have a balanced representation of all the stakeholders and all type of enterprises when we talk about MSMEs, so a balanced representation is very much needed between stakeholders and the government. So this act gave us that platform to create that sort of process, or I would say a platform wherein a government can have a healthy discussion with all these stakeholders. So that's why the MSME Act was there. Now, when you talk about MSME category, So there are broadly three kind of categories. One is micro enterprises, small enterprises, then medium enterprises. So all this criteria is based on the investment and turnover. Firstly, we talk about micro enterprises. The investment and turnover is 1 crore and 5 CR, below than that. Then small enterprises in which investment is below than 10 CR and turnover is below than 550 CR. Then there are medium enterprises. The investment wherein is below 50 CR and turnover is below than 250 CR. So the definition of recognizing any enterprise as MSME has widened up. And if we talk about how to get yourself recognized as MSME. So from the first 20, when we were all were struggling with COVID first wave, so at that time the government was working for MSME, and from 1st July 2020, wider notification, government said that there will be a simplified process for filing a memorandum. Now, when we talk about memorandum, this is something when we gave it's kind of a submitting a form with the government to tell them that to which category you belongs to, be it like micro, small, and medium. And when we talk about different categories, so government have designed everything according to that. Like micro, there are different schemes. For small enterprises, there are different schemes. For medium, there are different schemes. Now, this process involved no submission. There is no cost for that. And when you get or file the memorandum on the portal of Udyam, you get a Udyam registration number, which is kind of a registration number for you as a recognized MSME. Now let's talk about first those schemes which helps any business for setting up and stabilizing. Now, when we talk about any business, first thing we need is money. Obviously, without money, nothing can be done there. So the first and foremost scheme is there, which is important for any business, is to provide them a credit. Now, when we talk about credit, we talk about collaterals. So every like when we talk about micro category or small category, so are we sure that they are having an ample amount of or ample facility of collaterals? So to facilitate that, a scheme which was introduced by Government of India was to create a fund trust, which they got set up in a association with SIDBI, which kinds of provide a guarantee to all those lending institutions who are providing us the loan facility. Now, this guarantee is directly not given to the MSME. This is given to that bank who will be giving you the loan eventually. Now, we'll talk about all the practical, hardships or practical difficulties which consultants of the MSMEs are facing when they avail or when they try to avail this facility. But let's talk about how it works. Now, this works on two models, in which first model is in which there is no collateral is being involved. Now, the scheme works on three, and second model is when there is a partial collateral security model. That means when there is a collateral, but not that sufficient collateral for your demanded loan facility. But apart from that, there is no collateral at all, and still you want to avail the credit facility. Now, how does it work? Now, this fund trust is only applicable when the credit facility is availed up to 200 lakhs. That means up to 2 CR. So they will be providing only the guarantee to you if the loan facility taken by you is up to 2 CR. That means if you wishes to start your business, if you wishes to start your new venture, so it will be a great help if you avail this sort of facility. When we talk about the model in which there will be no collateral, so this particular trust will be giving the guarantee to your lending institution for the loan facility. And when we talk about partial collateral security model, in which if you wishes to avail more loan facility, then this particular trust will be giving you the guarantee for only the facility up to 2 CR. And apart from that, the primary security which you will be giving it to the bank this particular trust will be having a primary charge on that property. So that's how this whole scheme works. Now, if we talk about the main objective of the scheme, so that is just to strengthen the main lending institution. See, when you talk about the credit facilities, so everything is designed in a manner that you will be availing the own loan facilities from the banks. And at this time, when we talk about the bank's condition, they are going through, I would say, a rough phase in respect with NPAs. So obviously, no bank will be that much comfortable in giving you any sort of loan which provides no collateral, or which demands no collateral. So that's why the scheme is there. That's why the government created this fund to give you that facility. Now, how much guarantee will be there? So if we talk about micro enterprises, if the facility is up to 5 lakh, then 85% of the amount in default and subject to maximum of 2.25 lakhs will be covered under that guarantee. When we talk about 5 lakhs to 50 lakhs, then 75% of amount in default subject to maximum of 37 lakhs, 37.5 lakhs will be covered as a guarantee. When we talk about 50 lakhs up to 2 crores, then 75% of amount in default and which will be subject to maximum of 1.5 CR as a guarantee. For if we talk about women entrepreneur, so there is a 80% amount in default is covered, which is subject to maximum of 40 lakhs. Then there are other categories, all other categories, like apart from micro or women, then there is a 75% of amount in default subject to maximum 37.5 lakhs will be the maximum cover which they'll be doing. Now, this facility is only available to the manufacturer. If we talk about MSE or medium scale enterprise retail trade, if anyone is doing retail trade, then only the 50% of amount in default subject to maximum of 50 lakhs will be covered in the form of guarantee by this particular trust fund. Now, next scheme, if we talk about, is in respect with cluster management. Now, this we need to understand. If we talk about a rural area, or if we talk about a semi-rural area in these days, the sub-cities which are situated next to the cities, or maybe those trades or those businesses which works on a traditional models. Let's talk about khadi. Let's talk about coir board, jute business, in which there is a labor-intensive businesses there. Now, what we need to do is, or what that particular industry needs is to develop that cluster. That they have formed a cluster that this particular industry works in a model. They have similar challenges, they have similar sort of product, they have similar competition, and they work on a sustainable model of business. Now, what they need to do, how do they make themselves competitive? Because on this MSME day, what I feel is this is the best time for MSMEs to go digital to global. Now, how do we do that? How do all these traditional businesses will go global? Because they are working on extremely in that condition when there is no quality control, I would say, in today's time. Obviously, there are a few businesses or there are a few clusters who are getting themselves developed, but not all of them. Now, the scheme is to make or to strengthen those traditional industries and to make that cluster development. When we talk about cluster development, that means suppose any NGO, any company will be formed under Section 8. That means that particular company or organization will be working on a no-profit model. Then there should be a cluster of at least 500 artisans. When we talk about artisans, that means if I give you an exact word in Hindi, that is karigar, that is a worker. So if you have a cluster, if you make those people as a group, and if you form a SPV, then you submit a proposal with the implementing agency. So if we talk about khadi udyog, suppose, and if you feel like there is a cluster near to your city, near to your village, and if you feel like you wishes to strengthen them, and when we again I would say when we talk about strengthening, so you have on your screen when we talk about their training center, their skill upgradation, telling them about quality control, giving them a proper market assistance, that where you should market your product, and then most importantly, technological improvement. Now, this technological improvement should not be in that nature that eventually that person is losing its job. See, few businesses will be and always will be labor intensive. And when the human involvement is very much needed, everything cannot be machine made. So in that sort of clustering, this sort of scheme is very much essential and very much needed. So that particular NGO and that particular company will be forming SPV with all these people, and they will be submitting a proposal with implementing agency. Now, what will we get from the government in this regard? So what should be your primary agenda to do is you should be supporting them to attain a sustainable growth, and you should be addressing their common issues. As I said initially when talking about the scheme, we are talking about those products or those clusters in which we have similar issues. When we talk about Khadi business, they have similar issues. When we talk about coir business, they have similar issues. So that's how, or I would say B business, then there is a fishing. All in all these business, the issues, technicalities, and everything is same. The product is all same at the end. So we're talking about them. Now, what we are doing is we are creating a common facility centers. We are training them. We are promoting a green and sustainable manufacturing technology in these days, which is very much needed. This application, when you submit it with your implementing agency, suppose, for example, for Khadi business, if you are submitting it with KYIC, Khadi Vikas Committee, and they will be checking your application, and then you will have to submit your DPR with any SIDBI or any commercial bank which is listed for the scheme. They will be forwarding it to a steering committee, basically made to check and evaluate whether your project, whether your this particular cluster development program is eligible to get the subsidy or not. And if you get selected, then you will be given a subsidy ranging between 2.5 CR or 5 CR. Now, to avail that, the foremost condition is very much important that at least you have a cluster of 500 artisans. If you have a cluster of 500 artisans, then you will be given the benefit of 2.5 CR. If you have a cluster more than 1,000 of artisans, then you will be given the assistance of 5 CR. Now, this is, we talk about for soft intervention facilities. When we talk about soft intervention, that means you are upgrading their skill, you are training them, you are giving them a training, you are promoting them. Basically, you are, in a way, you are technically guiding them. You are not providing them any infrastructure facility. Supposedly, if you provide them an infrastructure facility, or you provide them a training center, you provide them a common facility centers for testing, training, raw material, or for telling them about different technicalities in respect with production process. If you're doing that, then you will be given assistance in respect with a percentage of a project cost also, which you will be forming for that particularly. Now, next when we talk about is procurement and marketing support scheme. So till now, we have taken two foremost schemes. Firstly, for business, you need credit scheme. So that is CGTMSE, in which a trust is built up by the government to provide a guarantee to your bank, who will be giving you the loan. Now, second, when we talk about the cluster development, we talked about in traditional businesses. When we talk about those clusters who need technological or training, who need quality control, who need market assistance, so you provided facilities for that, for those clusters. Now we are talking about procurement and marketing support. So your product, you needed finance, you got that. You needed a cluster, strengthened cluster, you got that. Then you need market and procurement also. So for that, the scheme is to promote new market initiatives like organizing or participation in national and international trade fairs, exhibitions, MSME Expo, etc., held across the country. Now, if we talk about the market, why do we need it? Obviously, when you have developed a product, you need a market to showcase it. Marketing is very much needed. And where do you market your product? In all these exhibitions, all these trade fairs are extremely important for any MSME to get their product having a good market. Now, to create awareness and educate the MSMEs about the importance, methods, process of packaging and marketing, latest packaging technology, import or export policy, procedure, GEM portal, MSME conclave, latest development in international and national trade and other subjects, topic relevant for market access developments. All these sort of I would say, of facilitation is conducted by the government. Now, the scheme is very much important for three things. First is the market access initiatives across the country. If a person from Tamil Nadu getting his products listed in an exhibition which is being conducted in Chandigarh in Punjab, so obviously he will get a market of from northern part of India. Obviously his product might be beneficial for people living out there. So that's how it is important. He gets a market access initiative through all these exhibitions. Then there is a capacity building. Capacity building is very much needed because suppose if you make 100 products and if you have a supply chain of giving 100 products, but at the end you have a demand of 1,000 products. So how do you build your capacity? That is also needed. Then there is a development of retail outlet. Once you make your product, how do you develop your retail business? How do you market? How do you develop that that supply chain through which you will be giving all these products to the end consumer? But that's why this procurement and marketing support scheme was needed. The scheme is mixture of a both thing. It's about awareness and also it's about providing a platform also in terms of incentives or subsidy. Now, what sort of incentive is being given? Incentive will be given for participation in any trade fair, for any market access initiative which is being conducted across India by Government of India or any organization of Government of India, any domestic or international trade fair exhibition, and participation in those exhibitions by the ministry or office of development centers of MSME or government organization. Then there is a vendor development program. So for all these things, you will be getting incentives. Now, when we talk about component first is sub-component first is market development assistance of MSME. If you go or book a stall in any trade fair, so you'll be given a subsidy for space rent up to 3 lakhs per MSME. Then there is a airfare is also there, which is given 1.5 lakh per MSME. Then there is a duty allowance, which is given for $150 per day for the office bearer. This is in respect with foreign delegates. So if you go in a foreign in an outside country exhibition, then there is a freight charges which are given also for up to 50,000 per MSME and 75,000 per MSME for Latin American countries. Then advertisement and publicity charges up to 5 lakhs has been given. Strategy, registration fee is up to 5,000. So when I started talking about MSMEs, or when we started spreading the awareness to MSMEs, so we felt that there is a lack of awareness when we talk about all these things. See, supposedly like we ourselves who are very well equipped with the technology, who can very well go to an MSME site, see about all these initiatives or incentives. Still, we feel that MSME working on ground might not have that much ample time to read about this, and then he is not having that proper time to attend all these I would say government initiative or government programs also to know about all these things, all these incentives. Now, when we talked about it, or when we read about it, so we felt that on ground the implementation of these schemes is very much needed, and that's what the whole agenda of the government is all about. So, Honorable Chief Minister of Goa also said that government is working dedicatedly for the MSMEs, but then it depends on us who act as a facilitator and to educate MSMEs about all these schemes so that they can avail it. Now, apart from what we just discussed, if an MSME wishes to participate in international exhibition or trade fairs and buyer-seller meet, if we talk about in a virtual mode, so then space or stall charges, including catalogs, digital material charges for participating in virtual international events, which are organized by foreign countries, then you will get the 1.5 lakhs of assistance in that. Then advertisement and publicity charges up to 5 lakhs will be given. Then organizing international conferences. First is for participation, then there is for organizing international conferences. In that you will be given assistance for all the venue, rent, catering, advertisement, publicity, security arrangement, etc. up to 10 lakhs. Then there is an economy class. Airfare is also given up to 5 lakhs. Then again for organizing international conferences, summits, which are organized by primarily industry associations and government organizations. So if you do that, in which you will be given assistance up to 2 lakhs in respect with the rent and license fee and everything. Then for publicity marketing, you get up to 5 lakhs. Then translation and interpretation charges are also there in a virtual event. Then for that, you get up to 1 lakh of assistance. Now, for other subcomponent, when we talk about capacity building and development of retail outlets, at present, government have not formed any sort of guidelines in respect of that or any sort of plan in that. But what we are informed that uh, they will be giving proper guidelines for capacity building and development of retail outlet. So I think that will be very interesting because it completes the whole chain. You get the market, you get the capacity building, you get the development of retail outlet. Then this scheme is quite niche, and this is a national SC/ST hub scheme. So to provide professional support to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe entrepreneurs to fulfill the obligation under the central government public procurement policy for micro and small enterprise order 2012, adopt applicable business practices and leverage the Stand Up India initiatives. So when we talk about central government public procurement policy, that means every central ministry, department, PSU shall set an annual target of 20% procurement from MSE target sector. That means every these government of I would say departments or PSUs will be procuring at least 20% from MSME sector. Then there is a 4% extra procurement is earmarked only from scheduled caste or scheduled tribe entrepreneurs. And what subsidy you get in this sort of national SC/ST hub scheme is 25% subsidy once you procure or purchase plant and machinery and equipments. Then you get marketing and mentoring support through participation in exhibition and vendor development programs. This scheme, I'm repeating it, only for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe entrepreneurs. Then there is a reimbursement of transaction cost is also there. Collection, collation, and dissemination of information regarding SC and ST enterprises and entrepreneurs to CPSEs. All these boards who are formed to make awareness to the end consumer or to promote the businesses. So they will be given all the information in respect with SC and ST enterprises. Then there is a free skill training and distribution of trade-specific toolkits to train candidates of skill development programs, SEP, which was initiated by the ongoing government, in which they opened up few skill development programs in which the skills are all these, I would say, unemployed youth is being given the information in respect with ongoing developments, ongoing industrial developments, and they are trained to get their employment first. So that sort of, I would say, skill development programs will be for entrepreneurs also, so that they can skill themselves up, and they will be provided some specific tools also to strengthen them up. If we talk about, there are sub schemes under the umbrella scheme of National SC/ST Hub. One is special credit linked subsidy incentive is also there. Then special marketing assistance scheme, single point registration, bank loan processing reimbursement scheme, in which you get the processing charges reimbursed. Then bank guarantee charges reimbursed, testing fee reimbursement scheme, export promotion council membership reimbursement. If you wishes to do import export business, you will have to take the membership of any export promotion council related to that product. So that fee will also be reimbursed. Then top 50 NIRF rated management institutions short-term training program fee reimbursement scheme. There is a NIRF rated management institutions which provide trainings to all these entrepreneurs to strengthen them up. Then you will be given the reimbursement of that fee also if you participate in that. But this, again, I would say this is only for SC/ST entrepreneurs. Now, apart from it, now we are at another scheme is for promotion of innovation, rural industries and entrepreneurship, which is called shortly as Aspire. And this is for what? To set up our network of livelihood business incubation centers predominantly in rural and undeserved areas. Now what we are doing is we are doing or creating those incubation centers only in rural or that undeserved areas where the awareness, where when we talk about innovation, entrepreneurship skills, they are very lacking. So this is to promote innovation and accelerate entrepreneurship by empowering the beneficiary in creation of formal micro enterprises and imparting skills development programs for creating a wage of self-employment opportunity in agro-rural sector. Now, why this is needed? If we talk about rural and non-deserved areas, so most of the youth of the people in those areas, are focused on an agri-based sector. They are doing they, they are simply into agribusiness. Now, how do we strengthen them? Are they doing agribusiness correctly? Do they know about soil testing? Do they know about which seed to be used? How to increase the production? How to make good money out of the land which you already having, or the money you're getting out of the land of which you are already having. So how to do that? So to create those incubation center for livelihood in those areas, and to skill them, and to create those micro enterprises in those areas, this scheme is for that. What the benefit you get? You get maximum of 1 CR to the government agencies and 75 lakhs to the private agencies for procuring plant and machinery. Maximum 1 CR to government and private agencies as operational expenditure support towards manpower cost, running incubation and skill development programs. Now this subsidy you get when once you do some exercise on ground. This is not you get primarily to do that. This is something you incur first, then you will get the reimbursement of all these expenditure, because these schemes are highly regulated schemes and very niche scheme. And once you avail the benefit, or once you wishes to avail the benefit, you will have to show the ground results also that you have done this for this sector. Now that's why these schemes are very much important. That's how our main or prime force section, which was for setting up business and stabilizing business, ends there. Now what do we need extra apart from that is measures for credit line. What do we get for credit line? So first one is for stressed MSMEs. Now when we talk about stress, generally it comes from credit, and when we have a loan or credit on our head, so that's how we get the stress. That's how the MSME is also getting stressed. So credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt to stressed MSMEs is being given. So they will be given a subordinate debt to only to those MSMEs who are on the verge of becoming NPA or who have already become the NPA. The money which will be given to the promoter will be infusing that money as a equity, and that's how he'll be maintaining the debt equity ratio. That's why this is important. How much assistance will be given? It will be given equal to 15% of their stake, equity plus debt. Like howsoever promoter have invested in the business, or the 75 lakh, whichever is lower. So minimum you get 75 lakhs from the government in that threshold, or the 15% of your stake. So at least the 15% of a stake you get from the government. Then the scheme seeks to extend support to promoters or operational MSMEs which are stressed or have become NPAs as on 30th April 2020. So the date decided to see all these existing debt condition is 30th April 2020. On the basis of that, you will be given a subordinate debt. For every scheme, they have formed an implementing agency to whom the file goes. They see the file, then they grant. If they wishes to give you that grant, or they wishes to give you the benefit of that scheme, they will give that. Now, maximum tenure of the repayment is 10 years, in which you get the moratorium of 7 years on the payment of principal for that particular subordinate debt I'm talking about. Then guarantee for sub debt is 90% guarantee coverage comes from the scheme, the trust which is built up for the subordinate debt, then remaining 10% from the promoter concern. So you will be given only 10% guarantee by the promoter. Rest of the guarantee will be given by the government itself. Then latest in talk, when we talk about today's scenario, we hear a lot of information, or we hear a lot of word that entrepreneur, startup culture, and all these startups which are becoming a unicorn in today's India. So to facilitate those technological startups, they have formed the SRI fund. It's the very latest scheme when we talk about. What they have done is they have formed a company, NSIC Venture Capital Fund Limited, which is basically a 100% subsidiary of National Small Industry Corporation Limited, NSIC. It's the subsidiary of that particular unit, which is I would say, mini Ratna corporation of Government of India under MSME, Ministry of MSME. Now, what they have done is they have made a self-reliant India fund. That's a short form for SRI fund, with an overall fund corpus of 10,006 crores is being earmarked for this particular fund. Now, how will this work? Firstly, this fund will be listed or registered on SEBI as category 2 of alternate investment fund under the provision of SEBI. And then that particular fund will be investing or buying the equity of all these startups eventually, or all these, I would say, MSMEs initially. Now, how does this work? Government is not putting the money directly into the MSME in the form of equity, but they are doing it in the form of AIFs, who will be ultimately investing in all those MSMEs, and there will be a big investment side from the government of India. So the anchor investor in the fund is government of India, but they are doing it or sponsored by the NSIC and NVCFL. So that's how they will be doing or arranging the benefits out of this fund. Now, this is a fund of fund scheme strategy in which SEBI registered category 1 and category 2 AIF will be doing the investments in MSME, and that's how this particular fund will be utilized. Then the most talked about scheme and the most needed scheme which was introduced in the form of emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which came when the COVID first wave was there. So obviously every business was badly impacted. So at that time they came up with this emergency credit line, which any businessman who was having already a credit facility, so they got an additional working capital loan facility in the same bank, and that's how that particular MSME was saved from getting stressed or from getting their accounts and as NPA. Now, credit under GECL would be up to 20% of the borrower's total outstanding credit up to 525 CR, and excluding off balance sheet and non-fund exposures as of 29th February 2020. This is the initial scheme which we're talking about. And then there is the additional credit up to 5 CR is also there. That's how the scheme was introduced. Now the scheme was very much popularized. A lot of MSMEs got benefit out of it. So in this year, Honorable Finance Minister have decided to extend the scheme up to 31st March 2023, and the scheme has now widened up and can be availed by those businesses also who are having existing credit facility up to 500 CR. So that's how the scheme has availed or in terms of enlarged in terms of their criteria. Now we talk about asset restructuring module for MSME. So till now, let me just summarize it so that it doesn't get I would say boring for you. First, we got the money through all these credit facilities, all these initiatives for strengthening the business, for setting up the business, for setting up the cluster. Then you get stress fund also from the government in case you fails to pay to your lending institution, in case business was not good. So MSME failed in that in those responsibilities of repaying back the loan. You got the subordinate debt. Then you got the SRI fund also for technological or for new startup based models. Then now we are at a asset restructuring module for MSME. This is for something. This is a web-based do-it-yourself module to help MSME entrepreneurs prepare restructuring proposals themselves and submit to their bank, in which all the chartered accountants like us and all the MSME entrepreneurs will be preparing the restructuring proposal, and they will be submitting it on the ARM MSME web portal. And this portal is being developed by SIDBI and obviously its associate, and there is a India SME asset reconstruction companies also there. What they will do is they will restructure your debt model. They will be doing restructuring as per your proposal. This is a very simple, or I would say very much important scheme in these days, on which we are also working, because when we talk about SME or when we talk about their awareness, the prime focus should be on their credit line. It should be seamless. Because money is the backbone of every business. If you don't have that backbone that strong, it will break. Now we have set up the business, we got the money, now we got our supply chains, we are selling our products. Now we need proper cash flows for our business. Why cash flow is needed? We need a cash flows to strengthen our working capital needs. So for For your working capital needs, what they have done is they have created some trade receivable discounting systems. This is like all the chartered accountants in who are as an attendee who are listening to me, they must be aware of discounting system. How does it work? You are basically selling your sales invoice to our organization, and in return, you get the money. That's how you get the money before your debtor pays to you. Now, what's the need? Because in today's economic fabric, if we talk about in today's time, so obviously we need a proper credit line by the government, by the third party MLI, and we need a adequate working capital also in the place. Suppose we're selling product and we're not getting money within those credit terms which we have formed for our vendors, which we have formed for our buyers, and we're not able to stabilize the working capital needs of the business, so then also it will affect the business badly. That's why there is a need of this particular trade receivable discounting systems. They have created 3 portals for this, in which you can sell your invoice, and on your behalf that particular organization will be collecting money from your debtor. Now this is just to help, I would say, the pain endured by the MSMEs. Now there are 3 parties which are involved: sellers, who are the MSMEs. Only the MSME are allowed to avail the facility, which is maximum entity who is having a turnover up to 250 CR. So they can only avail the facility. Then there are government department, PSUs, corporate, or any other entity who will be the buyers, who will be buying these invoices. Then there are financiers, bank and BFC and other financial institutions permitted by RBI, who will be the financiers to the scheme. How do you do it? There is a platform. The buyer will be accepting the invoices uploaded by the seller. Then buyer will be repaying it to the seller. Then at that time when your buyer will be making payment to you, so this particular organization will be collecting payment on your behalf. So next we have is on your screen is, it is in respect with one particular portal. Likewise I mentioned that there are 3 portals. This is for M1 exchange portal. So one MSME uploads the invoice on this portal, you get financed by the financer, money is transferred within 1 day. This is very much significant. You get paid within 1 day, then within your credit period, in like maybe it may vary between 30 to 90 days, your financer will get paid automatically when the invoice is cleared by your customer. So that's how simply it works. So you can simply check the portal, you can check their guidelines, you can check the conditions mentioned therein, and you can get it done. They have a very strong backend system. Not M1 Exchange. I'm not saying that you should go to this portal only. There are other 2 portals also. So you can go to any portal and see the conditions, and whatever suits you, you can help the MSMEs through discounting their invoices. So once we get the credit line, we got the business stabilized, we got the cash flows done. Now what do we need? Is there any facility in which we get a benefit from government if I am not being paid? Now what do we mean that we do not get paid? That means if MSME is selling its product to end consumer or any enterprise, any company, so is there any provision which is applicable on those companies or on those specified companies, any sort of penalty, any sort of fine if they do not pay within a stipulated time? So that's how the MCA notification came in 2019, in which MCA directed that all the companies who get supplies, all companies who get supplies for MSME enterprises and whose payments to MSME exceeds 45 days from the date of acceptance or date of deemed acceptance of goods or services as per the provision of section 9 of MSME Act, shall submit a half-yearly return to Ministry of Corporate Affairs in the form of MSME1. That means any company, if any company is procuring any goods from any MSME enterprise, and if he is not paying them within 45 days, so they will be filing a form, okay, in MSME1 with MCA and telling them that yes, these are the payments which are delayed from our side. how this is significant and how this is aligned with the act. So let's understand that also. What are the provisions? So according to the provisions, buyer is liable to pay compounding fine if he fails to make payment within 45 days. So that's very much important. Now, as per section 20 and 21, the state government must establish micro and small enterprise facilitation council. How does it work? This is for settlement of disputes, for filing of delayed payments. Any MSME with a valid Udyam registration can apply for this facilitation. Every reference made to this particular council will be adjudicated within 90 days from the date of making such reference. The provision of act are implemented by this particular council, which is chaired by director of industries of that particular state. Now, how much the penalty is there, how much interest will be there if they do not pay within the stipulated time, and if you go to the facilitation council, and council can say that if a buyer is liable to pay interest with the monthly risks to the supplier in case of non-payment or delayed payment, and the interest rate is compounded. Interest rate is compounded at 3%, 3 times. I would say, sorry, I'm mistaking the 3%. It is 3 times the bank rate notified by the RBI. If the appellant filing the case is not a supplier and still wishes to file an appeal, he must set aside 75% of award amount before court begins deciding any such case. So in case there is any default, that particular defaulting company will have to pay 3 times of the interest of that bank rate, which is notified by the RBI. So that's how it is important. And I feel this should be there should be a proper awareness program in this respect for that. Now, at the same time, what I feel is this particular facility is to give you the benefit, not to take the undue advantage of that. See, in today's time, if we talk about MSME, so they are not like 5% or 10%. They are like majority of the businesses in India are MSMEs, and very few chunk is there who are the big corporates. So if you're dealing with those companies, or if you're dealing with any company, any MSME is dealing with any company, just for minor disputes, they should not go to this. I would not encourage doing that. But yes, if such transactions are seriously affecting your business, then only this platform is beneficial for you, and then that's how you should go and avail the benefit out of this particular provision. Then now let's talk about initiatives for becoming more efficient. You got the money, you got your business developed, you got the trade facility, you got cash flows. Now let's focus on the product which you are making. That's the ultimate product which will be going to your end consumer. Now, for strengthening that particularly, their MSME ministry came up with the champion schemes. This is for MSME champion scheme. Why we call it champion? Because this is the now next level. Now we are on a next level. We have taken care or tackled all the issues. Now we are focusing on our product. We are becoming competitive. We are becoming innovative. They have 3 focuses or 3 components under the scheme. One is MSME sustainable. Then there is MSME competitive. Then there is a MSME innovative. How does it work? Let's talk about sustainable. When we talk about sustainable, there is a worldwide concept, and we talk about China also. So slightly, if you see in previous time, government have increased the custom duties on certain imports. One importer was doing from China. So why we are doing it? We are focusing on self-reliant, that Atmanirbhar concept in our India, that most of the be it like raw material, be it like any, I would say, supply chain component of any product, it should be manufactured in India. And at the same time, by ensuring zero defect, zero effect practice also. Why do we need that? To encourage and enable MSMEs for manufacturing of quality products. Now we are focusing on the quality products. We have started developing the products, we got everything. Now we are focusing on the quality of those products by using the latest technology or tools. By developing or by development of a ecosystem which works for this model, for enhancing the competitiveness and enabling export. If, like I said, that I would encourage and I would facilitate MSMEs in going digital and global. When we talk about digital and global, then you need to attain all these tactics to make your product viable for that global market. Then you need to promote adoption of JET practices also and make MSMEs successful. Then you need to encourage MSMEs to achieve higher JET certifications through graded incentives. Increase public awareness. Obviously, awareness is also important for MSMEs. Then identify areas to improve upon, thereby assisting the government in policy decisions and investment prioritization. That means you will be, it will be initiative by institutions like ICAI who will be submitting their representations before government. That's how this policy decision is in respect with any industry or any investment prioritization or any sector which should be a priority lending sector should be there. So that's how this particular MSME sustainable JET scheme will be implemented. Now this is a very latest scheme, so we have not got the result that whether the scheme is successful or not, but the idea behind it, and I would say the initiative taken by the government is very much appreciative because they have worked from that market procurement scheme till your final products by making sure it's quality. So this how this scheme will work, they will be giving you a JET certification. Now, what certification level is bronze, in which 5 parameters are there. Now, parameters, when we talk about parameters, that means the leadership, quality control, and worker management facilities in your organization, quality control in your organization, how they are. So, on the basis of 5 parameters, you will be given a bronze level, which is a level 1 certificate. Then there is a silver certificate which carries 14 parameters, and there is a gold certificate which is for 20 parameters. Now, how this particular certification will help you? Obviously, if entity is having a certification level 3 or gold certificate, so on the basis of that particular certificate, when you showcase your product on a global level or in India also, so people at consumer who are aware about your product, and that's how they will be, trusting you more about it. And they will be thinking that yes, you have developed a very good system in your organization, and you have developed that zero defect policy in your organization, and that's how the reliability on your products increases. Now there is a subsidy also for availing or getting this particular certification. So in terms of financial assistance, any micro enterprise will be given 80% of subsidy on cost of certification. Then there is a for small 60% subsidy is there, for medium 50% subsidy is there. And if MSME is owned by women, SC or ST entrepreneurs, or MSME in any northeast region, Himalaya region, or any island territories, aspirational districts, then they will be given extra 10% subsidy for that. And if this whole model is for that cluster development we discussed, or the security scheme which we discussed initially, so then extra 5% subsidy will be there. So that's how this MSME sustainable JET scheme will be working. Then let's talk about MSME competitive. First was to make your product in a quality manner. Now you need information or knowledge how to make your product or how to make a business line competitive. How will you do that? By diversifying your product, attaining that efficiency, or by reduction in wastage, with proper inventory management, proper space management, so that you can build the capacity, you can build the extra capacity. Then there is the energy consumption. As I said, we are working on a sustainable growth businesses who works on a green technology or who works on a green model in which the energy consumption is minimum. What benefit you get once you avail the benefit out of this particular scheme or initiative is basic, or then intermediate is 1,20,000 cost of implementation is there, and 2,40,000 is for advanced one. Then there is a financial assistance to group of MSME units for adoption of lean tools or techniques. Subsidy on cost of implementation, 90% of the cost. 90% of the cost will be given as a subsidy. Now this is kind of a model which you will be implementing on your business through tools and kits which are developed by the government itself in consultation with all the consultants. So that's how this will be there. There is a basic level certification. This will be achieved through self-paced learning with help of online module developed for the same. So there is an MCLS portal in which there are different sort of techniques which are being taught to all these MSMEs, and that's how you can implement that on a basic level. Then an option of online technical support is also there. So in case you feel like you have any doubts, any sort of technical support is needed, so that's also it is provided. Then there is the intermediate level or advanced level, I would say, in which online module is also there. Then on implementing stage, government of enterprises will be giving you a hand-holding support through a consultant designatedly appointed to you. Suppose you are a packaging unit, and if you feel like what should I do for making my business competitive? So industry-wise, what they are doing is they are formulating some tools. Like for packaging, they are formulating certain designs, so they are formulating certain guidelines. That if you implement this, you make your product competitive as compared to others. Now, once you achieve that, or once you make that, now if you feel like you have already everything, you just need to learn this model, so you can avail the basic level certification. And if you feel like you need completely overhauling your existing product or process line, then you need to avail intermediate level or advanced level certification, in which you will be given a proper consultant by group of enterprises. That's how you do it. The third and the last initiative which which are discussing in today's lecture is just MSME innovative incubation, IPR and design. So first was sustainable, second is competitive, and third is innovative. Now to promote all sort of innovations, and as I stated that in today's time, this is a startup era in which technological advancement and processes, different processes in day-to-day life, in industry, when we talk about in normal individual life, all the processes are becoming digital to minimize the time of completion of that process, be it like Zomato, be it like Blinkit, or be it like any example of today's startup. Then at the same time, there are certain processes which are in industry which also needs that innovation, to minimize that process of completion of that complete value chain. So for that innovations, for that appropriate facility and development to create or design that particular model, for promoting a culture of innovation, or for creating a link between industries, leaders, innovators, and for focusing on development affordable innovations. So this is very much needed. The key benefit will be given is, when we talk about incubation, then financial institution, financial assistance to the host institute will be, the incubation institute will be given an assistance of 15 lakh per idea to host institute. Then financial institute, financial assistance for plant and machinery will be given up to 1 CR for all the R&D activities and for creating common facilities for business incubators. For designs, for any approved design, you get a 75% for micro, 60% for small and medium. Of total project cost will be contributed by Government of India up to 40 lakhs. Remaining project cost will be borne by MSME and deposited to the implementing agency. For any student project, in today's time, many universities are also creating and developing clusters in respect with students, in which students at the initial stage they create an idea. So while creating that, 75% of total project cost will be contributed by the government up to rupees 5 lakh, 2.5 lakhs. Now at last there is an IPR grant also. So 1 CR will be provided to an IPFC milestone based installment based grant will be there up to 1 CR for any IPR registration. Then there is a reimbursement of registration and patent, trademark, geographical indications. Whatever the expenditure you incur towards patent or trademark, you will be given the assistance toward that. So this is the list of financial assistance. Like for foreign patent, you get 5 lakhs. For domestic patent, you get 1 lakh. For GI registration, you get 2 lakhs. Design registration, 15,000. Then for trademark, 10,000 will be given you the reimbursement to all the MSMEs. So that's how all the aspects I think I would have covered in a manner so that you have understood. Though there are many schemes if we talk about in today's time, but to concise that in a time frame which is given, and obviously for listening all those schemes, one need patience. So I think I would have covered all the key schemes in today's lecture or time frame which is given to me. In case anyone feeling any sort of assistance is needed while seeking information about all these schemes, so you can reach me out anytime. That's it from my side.
Yes, thank you, Navjot ji.
Thank
Any
you.
questions from the participants? You can have in the chat box, or you can try to unmute yourself also.
Yeah, I have a question with reference to the MSME Act and delayed payments. This is based from GMI Zarak.
Yes, sir.
Why
Yes, sir.
is it that you have? Yeah, why is it that MSME has to ask for that interest if it's a delayed payment? It should be made mandatory that if a company doesn't pay an MSME in that 45 days, they should pay the interest, because most MSMEs have a problem going against their customer, then they might lose the business. So it should be made mandatory, and it is also ease of doing business that you get it delayed, you pay it. So that way they will not take advantage of the situation and not pay, because that's what is happening.
Right, sir. Sir, at the same time, what I stated while giving you information about that particular initiative or provision is that in India there are all sort of people. If there is a, I would say, advantageous step by the government, so there are people who take the unadvantage of the same also. I know that working capital, and this is a big issue in which MSMEs are not getting paid. But when we talk about MSMEs, this is a very big percentage. We're talking about the whole India, because in India, not only 1 or 2 lakhs, there are around, if we talk about formal or informal, there are around 1 CR enterprises are there. So if we will make it automatic, so I think it will lead to more litigation, because certainly every times I think the processes and I would say business design is not that way that you get the money within 45 days. So that automatic nature, I think, would not be, I would say, beneficial step for this. But that's how they have created a council in between who decide that whether the case is suitable, whether all the steps have been taken, and everything will be, they check that, and then only they grant that particular penal interest to the MSME. So I think the current structure is good. All they need to make is to ensure that the benefit of current structure is adequately provided to MSMEs. I think that is what which is more needed.
Any further questions? Okay, I think there are no more questions. I would like to extend a warm thanks to CA Navjot ji. He has a very tight schedule today. I saw that another organization has asked him for a session immediately after this, back-to-back sessions in demand faculty. And thank you for sparing your time for Goa branch.
Always, sir, always here. Whenever you call me, I'll always here.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And I think we have resolved the technical issues with Geeta madam also. Madam, are you there with us?
Yes, hi. Am I audible now?
Yes. You're audible.
Yes.
We can't see you. Yes, now visible also. Fantastic.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. So Geeta madam is the whole and soul of the industries department in Goa, and all the schemes run through her. So I think we couldn't have asked for a better faculty for today's session. Over to you, madam.
Yeah, hello. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties that we had. I hope they're all resolved now, and we will go straight away to the presentation. Yeah. So my name is Geeta. I work as planning officer in the Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce.
Others can kindly mute themselves. All the other people can kindly mute.
Ma'am,
Madam,
unmute
yeah,
yourself.
yes.
Yeah, better now? Okay, so my name is Geeta. I work as planning officer in the Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce, and I mostly look after the incentive schemes which are implemented by the state government. The state government currently is implementing 7 different schemes which are intended towards all the manufacturing MSMEs in the state of Goa. I will share my screen now and we will straight away go to the presentation and then maybe we can follow up with the question and answers. Give me a moment. Can someone please confirm if
Yes, ma'am. It is
if you can see
visible.
the PPT?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, visible.
Okay. 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 So I before beginning the presentation, I want you all to understand that there are some 2 or 3 things which we need to understand before understanding the schemes. Firstly, since this department is more like a back-end administrative setup, we do not have any financing kind of schemes. So we do not give upfront finance to purchase a machinery or to invest basically in any sort of way. So all the schemes that I will be talking about now are designed in reimbursement fashion, by which I mean the cost has to be incurred first by the applicant, and then based on the receipts or the proof of that cost that you have incurred that you submit to me, submit to the department, it will be scrutinized and a certain percentage of it is reimbursed to you. So all the 7 schemes that I will be talking about now are designed in reimbursement fashion. They are not what do you say, financing kind of schemes. We do not give upfront financing. Secondly, the state has decided to put a threshold on who can apply and who cannot apply based on the date in which the unit has gone into production. So the date currently is 1st October 2007. So all the units which have gone into production after 1st October 2007 are eligible to take all these incentives that I will be talking about. All the units that have gone into production prior to 1st October 2007 are not eligible as of now. Thirdly, what I want you to know is all these schemes were notified in 2017 with a validity period of 5 years, which will fall due now in September 2022. We have already asked for revalidation, and 99% I'm sure that revalidation will be granted for another set of years. But if you ask me right now, the schemes are valid till September 22, but they will be extended. We will reconsider. The government has asked us to reconsider the schemes and maybe suggest some modifications so that they can be made more, we can reach out to more people through the schemes. So what I would ask is, after this presentation is done, if any of you have some suggestions, please write to me, write an email saying that this is the suggestion, because I think you are the people who connect more with the industries. Though we are the industries department, this becomes more administrative and we do not have industry interaction the way it should actually be. So I think I can use this platform to reach out to you and say, if you have any suggestions or modifications that can be done to these schemes, please reach out to me, because that process is underway and we will be considering it. If government agrees, government will consider these modifications and notify and extend the validity of the modified scheme, not the original scheme. So I will go on with the first scheme. There are now these 2 schemes out of 7 which are available to units which are very new, by which I mean which have gone into production after 1st October 2017. There is a capital subsidy scheme. The eligibility is, this scheme is available for micro and small scale manufacturing units only. We are only excluding the medium scale units here. So micro and small manufacturing units which have commenced commercial production after 1/10/2017, or the units which have carried out substantial expansion after 1/10/2017. The threshold of 1/10/2007 still remains here. However, if you have, say, gone into production, if a unit has gone into production after 1st October 2007, and that unit has carried out an expansion after 2017 in value, meaning the unit has invested an amount into a capital investment. Okay, the unit has made a capital investment which is at least 25% of its total investment, then it will be considered as substantial expansion. So if the substantial expansion has been carried out, then that expansion also becomes eligible for capital subsidy scheme. The benefit under this scheme is for micro units and small units, any on any investment that you have made for capital only. For the purpose of this scheme, we consider capital investment as investment in plant and machinery, as investment in ICT equipment, and investment in office and factory premises. Please note the investment on cost of land, purchasing of land is not considered here. However, the investment in office and factory premises, the civil work is considered, all plant and machinery is considered, and all ICT equipment is considered. So the scheme is reimbursement of 30% of the cost of capital expenditure up to a maximum of 10 lakh rupees if it is a micro enterprise, or 20 lakh rupees if it is a small scale enterprise. This scheme is a one-time benefit that is given, by which I mean if you take capital subsidy now and immediately go into another capital expenditure after say 3 or 4 years for the same unit, then second time you will not get this scheme. It's just a one-time benefit scheme that is being offered. Second thing that you need to remember is okay, I'll move on to the next scheme. Here the scheme benefit would be disbursed in two equal installments. So immediately after approval of the scheme, 50% of the subsidy will be disbursed, and the remaining 50% will be disbursed after 2 years after conducting a physical verification to verify that the unit is still functioning. The second scheme is interest subsidy scheme. This is available to all micro, small, medium manufacturing units and one service unit. One service unit is hinterland ecotourism in underdeveloped talukas. All the units also which have commenced production after 1/10/2017 only. And the government has also included one more eligibility criteria here, that the unit should have employed a minimum of 60% of Goan employees. Of whatever its capacity is, a minimum of 60% people have to be Goans. So the scheme says that if this unit has taken a loan from any nationalized bank or scheduled bank or private bank, or basically any loan, it excludes the cooperative banks. Otherwise, loans from any other banks are eligible. If you have taken a loan to start your business, then government will reimburse 30% of how much interest you have paid annually to the bank on that loan. Now here we consider term loan as well as working capital loan. On term loan, the reimbursement will be 30% of the interest paid. On working capital, it will be calculated as 30% of the interest paid or 1.5% of the turnover, whichever is less. Generally works out to be the same thing, a similar figure. The upper limit is up to 25 lakh rupees per annum, and this is a repeating benefit. It's not like a one-time benefit, by which I mean this benefit can be taken for first 28 quarters subsequent to commencement of production. So it's for 7 years basically. However, there are some ineligible loans here. First is EDC's scheme, modified interest rebate scheme, which John sir talked about in the first session, wherein EDC is already giving you an interest subsidy. So if you have taken that scheme, then you will not be eligible for interest subsidy scheme of this department. Secondly, all the units which have have taken benefit under the Chief Minister's Rozgar Yojana and or Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program or the Tribal Employment Generation Program, which again sir talked about. Because all these schemes are already giving interest subsidy on the loans which have been taken. So if you have taken one interest subsidy under any of the other schemes of the government, then you become ineligible for this interest subsidy. Third is an employment subsidy scheme. Now, this scheme actually has been in place since 2008. The version that I will be talking about now is like the modified version of that scheme, which was re-notified in 2018. So the employment subsidy scheme says that any unit, if is engaging a minimum of 60% of its regular staff as government employees, and these people are being paid a minimum salary of 8,000 per month or more, then the government will reimburse 50% of your annual salaries paid to eligible government employees up to a maximum of 25 lakh rupees per month per year for micro, small and medium units. If it is a large unit, then government will reimburse 25% of the salaries paid to eligible governments or 50 lakh rupees, whichever is less. So it's always calculated like that. It will be 50% of the salaries or 25 lakh rupees, whichever is less, or for large industries, 25% of the salaries paid to government employees or 50 lakh rupees, whichever is less. Here, the benefit will be restricted to 7,000 rupees per person per month, but this is on the subsidy. This is not on the salary of the employee. This is the subsidy that we will be giving will be restricted. The salary of the employee is expected to be above 8,000 rupees per month. Only then the person becomes eligible. Here, the eligibility criteria of 2017 does not apply. Only the first two schemes that I talked about, the capital subsidy scheme and the interest subsidy scheme, only for those two schemes, there was a threshold, entry threshold of 1st October 2017. All these schemes that I like 8,000 rupees per month or more, 50% of the salaries paid to them will be reimbursed. Next is incentives for certification and IPR reimbursement. This scheme has now been linked to the central scheme of certification reimbursement. So it basically says that all micro, medium, small, large, all micro, small and medium and large manufacturing units which have obtained any sort of certification like quality certification as well as your product certification like ISO certification and all that. So if you have obtained a certification, then government will reimburse 100% of the cost of obtaining that certificate. However, when I say 100%, what we exclude is we do not give hotel charges, eating charges, travel charges, and all that is not included. But apart from that, say the fees that you have paid to the consultant, or there is reimbursement of 100% of the fees paid to the consultant. Basically, the cost of obtaining the certification, it's reimbursed to you, and this scheme can be obtained multiple times. Like say you obtain a certain type of certification today and claim benefit on it, and after 2 years again there is another kind of certification that has been obtained by the unit, then the unit can claim benefit under the scheme for that certification also, until the time the upper limit of 8 lakh rupees is exhausted. So there is upper limit of 8 lakh rupees per unit for certification and 15 lakh rupees per unit for IPR. And during the validity of the scheme, multiple applications can be made under this scheme. Then there is incentives to training prospective employees. I will very briefly talk about this scheme because there are some technical problems that the department faced, and that's why this scheme is partially on hold. This, however, since it is not exactly denotified, and hopefully that problem will be resolved. The scheme basically says that any micro, small, medium, and large manufacturing unit wants to train some their prospective employees. They want to impart some kind of skill training, then they can coordinate or tie up with all the institutes, recognized institutes, and conduct the training, pay the fees, whatever fees will be charged by that particular technical institute, and submit that receipt to Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce, and DITC would reimburse 60% of that bill. So there is reimbursement of 60% of the cost of training to that unit, which will be then restricted to 60,000 rupees per employee. So however many employees are getting trained, maximum reimbursement would be 60,000 rupees per employee and during the validity of this scheme. Then there is incentives to local purchases scheme. This scheme is available to all micro, small, medium manufacturing units. So the large units category is excluded here. If any micro, small, medium manufacturing unit purchases a minimum of 50% of its raw material from Goa, from within the geographical boundary of Goa, that is, then government reimburses 2% of the cost of that local purchases. So it will be calculated in value. This will be restricted to 5 lakh rupees per year per unit. So it is 2% of the cost of local purchases or 5 lakh rupees, whichever is less, per year. So every year the unit will have to make a new application, because every year your purchases will differ. Every year the percentage will differ. So depending on that, you will have to make like a new application every year, and you can make these applications, meaning take these benefits for 5 consecutive years from the date of first application. So the only eligibility criteria is your purchase of minimum 50% in value of raw material has to be from Goa, from within the geographical boundary of Goa, and then it will be counted. Again, I think I missed to tell you in the previous scheme was the employment subsidy scheme and the interest subsidy scheme. There also, employment subsidy scheme can be taken for 7 years. However, every year there has to be a new application, because the number of employees will change, the amount of salary that you pay to them every year will change. So depending on how much cost have you actually incurred, you will have to submit a fresh application every year for employment subsidy. And similarly, because the amount of interest that you pay to the bank changes every year, you will have to submit a fresh application for interest subsidy also every year, along with a fresh interest certificate. Similarly here, for incentives to local purchases scheme, you will have to submit a fresh application every year for 5 consecutive years with the exact data of how much exactly did you spend on purchasing raw material locally. So that was incentives to local purchases scheme. Then there is incentives to green investment scheme. This scheme has 2 components. The scheme is available to micro, small, medium, and large manufacturing units. The first component is if the unit has conducted water and energy audit. So any kind of manufacturing unit, if they have conducted a water and energy audit, then the cost of conducting that audit, whatever cost was incurred, government reimburses 25% of that cost, subject to an upper limit of 1 lakh rupees. So it's 25% of the cost of or 1 lakh rupee, whichever is less. The second component of the scheme is purchasing power conservation equipment. So if the unit has purchased any power conservation equipment, then government reimburses 40% of the cost of power conservation equipment up to a maximum of 10 lakh rupees. And this is also a one-time investment scheme. Now, there are some modifications which have been suggested under the green investment scheme, which may be carried out now, like I told you in the beginning, the government is considering slight modifications, taking in suggestions and all from industry and all sorts of people to see how this scheme can be better implemented. So in that case, several suggestions have been obtained for this scheme. However, this is what it looks like as of now. The current phase of this scheme is like this. There are two components, water and energy audit and power conservation equipment. So conducting water and energy audit, 25% reimbursement on the cost, and purchasing of power conservation equipment, reimbursement of 40% of the cost. That is what it is. Now, next, what happens is the government here doesn't anywhere mention that if you have taken benefit under one scheme, you cannot take benefit under the other scheme. It is not like that. If you fulfill all the eligibility criteria, individual eligibility criteria of individual schemes, then you can apply for all the schemes if you are eligible. However, the benefit that the government will give you will be restricted, and it will be restricted at 50% of the cumulative investment that the unit has made. So say for example, if the unit has invested 10 lakh rupees as capital investment, then it can take say 30% of its 10 lakh rupees under capital subsidy scheme, then some more amount under employment subsidy scheme, and some more amount as subsidy under interest subsidy scheme. But the moment the subsidies received from the government reach 50% of units total investment, that is 5 lakh rupees, then the unit will become ineligible for further incentives. So that is where this umbrella scheme comes into picture. So application for all these schemes is like a two-step procedure. When you get in, the unit has to first register under the umbrella scheme. When you register under the umbrella scheme, you don't actually get any financial benefit. However, the upper limit on benefit is set here, because it is here at the time of application under umbrella scheme that the unit has to declare how much has been invested in the plant and machinery of that. I mean, what is the capital investment in that unit? And 50% of that capital investment will be set as the upper limit on subsidy that will be received. So that is what this says. So any unit that has invested 50% of its total investment will be set as the upper limit on incentives. Then after obtaining, when we set this upper limit on incentives, we also generate an umbrella registration number. With that umbrella registration number, then you have to go ahead and file application for whichever scheme you are eligible for. There are additional benefits, additional incentives for two categories of people. One is all the units located in the lesser developed taluka. Lesser developed talukas are notified, I mean, they are mentioned in the scheme. These talukas of Perne, Sattari, Bicholi, Sange, Kepe, Kankon, and Dharbandoda. These are mentioned as lesser developed taluka, and if a unit is situated in any one of these talukas, then that ceiling of 50% of your capital investment will be raised to 70% of your capital investment. Also, additionally, if the unit is owned by a woman or SC or ST entrepreneur, or if the major shareholding of a company of the applicant unit is a woman or a SC or an ST entrepreneur, then there will be an additional 10% benefit. So the upper limit on benefit can maximum from 50 go up to 80%. So say if a unit is located in Sange and being owned by a woman entrepreneur, then the upper limit on benefit instead of 50 will become 80%, 70 because it is in the lesser developed taluka, and additional 10% because it is owned by a woman entrepreneur. So these benefits, additional benefits for women entrepreneurs, for SC ST entrepreneurs, for lesser developed talukas, are only at the stage of umbrella, meaning are only there to set the upper limit of benefit that can be received by any of the units. For independent scheme, for individual schemes, when you will apply, the benefits are same for everyone. They're not different for women entrepreneurs, SC ST entrepreneurs, and everyone else. They are the same. However, the upper limit on benefit changes. So that is it from my side. If anybody wants to ask any questions, I will take the questions.
Yes, participants, any questions?
Yes. Are there any questions?
I will put up my email ID, the official email ID in the chat box now. Like I told you, anyone, please go through the schemes if possible. And if you have any suggestions to be given, modifications to be suggested to the schemes, please write on this email ID. We will definitely
Okay,
consider
I
the
think
same because the director is taking in this.
there is a question in the chat box.
Yeah, I will check.
Are these schemes applicable to service sector too? It's a question by CA
Uh,
Kamlesh Amalani.
link of the scheme. Okay, service sector. No, no. Currently, no. Yes, I currently no, sir. Currently, all these schemes are only available to manufacturing to all the manufacturing micro small units. You know, whenever it says anything, it says it is manufacturing micro small manufacturing units, micro small medium and large manufacturing units. So all 7 schemes currently are available only to manufacturing units. However, when a modification is going on, maybe the government might reconsider some of the service sectors. Currently, there are only 2 service sectors which are available, which are eligible here. Ecotourism in hinterland. They are available for employment and interest subsidy. And hospitals and educational institutions are eligible to take subsidy under certification. So these are the only 3 service sectors which have been considered, that also specifically under those schemes. But in general, no. Link for the schemes, if it is application what you are asking, you'll have to go to Goa online website. Okay, go to www.goaonline.gov.in. Can you note it down? I should have included it here, but I don't think I have it. It's goaonline.gov.in. Then when you go to Goa online, you click on services. Under services, you click on all services. When you go to all services, the names of all the departments of government will appear. In that, you will have to search for Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce. When you click on Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce, application under umbrella is the only link that is active there. So that is how you apply. So first step would be application under umbrella, where we require basic 5 or 6 documents and one affidavit and one CA certificate. CA certificate basically to support the claim of the unit for its capital investment, because that is where we set the upper limit on benefits. So it's a very important document. The format of the CA certificate is uploaded, the format of the affidavit is uploaded. Other documents are pretty basic, which all the units must have, like pollution control board's consent to operate and Udyam registration and Aadhaar card of the applicant, and their balance sheets and statement of accounts basically. So these 4 documents and one affidavit, one CA certificate is all that we require at the time of registration under umbrella. After the umbrella number is generated, then scheme specific different documents are required. Like if you are applying for employment subsidy scheme, you will have to give us the proof of salaries paid, of them being governed, all those things. If you are applying for certification and IPR, you'll have to submit a copy of certificate. So those documents differ, but the link for application is still the same. They all have to be applied online from goaonline.gov.in.
Okay, there is one more question. Is Are there any schemes for research and development?
Uh,
Any
like
reimbursements on amount spent for research and development?
no. Research and development, it doesn't say anything on the cost of research and development. However, if you have researched something and obtained any sort of IPR, like a copyright or trademark or any kind of IPR if you have obtained on your research, then on registration of IPR there is reimbursement. 50% of the
ऐकून येतं रे? हा?
Hello,
Not
ऐकून
audible.
येतं?
madam.
Not
Your audio is lost. Your audio, we have lost your audio. No.
Madam is not audible.
Yes, she has lost her audio. I just tried to call her. And
hello.
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
madam, we
Yeah.
had lost your audio.
Now you are
Okay,
audible.
lost your
No,
audio.
no, she's back. She's back.
Yeah,
She's
for 1
back.
minute we
Okay.
had lost. Last 1 minute we had
Okay.
lost.
Okay, so what I was saying is somebody asked about the supermarkets, and supermarkets are considered as trading industry. So since it is a trading industry, it will be excluded from our scheme. The scheme specifies that the incentives are only for manufacturing units. Then somebody asked something about the ITR. I was saying I'm not the right person, I think, to answer this question. Somebody please help. And about the PowerPoint presentation, somebody is asking for this. I will mail the PPT to Mr. Gaurav. Is that okay? And then maybe you can share it to all the participants because you will have their email IDs.
Yes, madam. We are also planning to upload this entire session on YouTube, our YouTube channel, so
Yeah.
it would be there for posterity to everyone.
Yeah, I will share. I will definitely share the PowerPoint presentation. Also, all the schemes that I have mentioned, I have a brochure which is like, you will at a glance kind of information of all these schemes. I will share a copy of that also, that is easier to share on WhatsApp and stuff. So I'll share that also to you. And if you have a list of all the participants, maybe then you can forward it to everybody.
Yes, madam. Yes.
Yeah.
Vice Chairman, sir, would you like to take the question of ITR filing?
ITR filing is a separate issue altogether. I think we have already dealt with, and if required, we'll take it separately.
Sure. Any other questions?
You can inform about the scheme if you feel right about all the publication what we are going to launch.
Yes, so we as someone was asking for the PPT, and also we are going to launch a compilation of all these schemes, a book today evening. So that book also will be a useful resource to all the MSME industry bodies. We'll be compiling all the schemes discussed today plus the startup policy. So I think that would be a very comprehensive document or booklet or something which all the industry bodies can later on use to refer. That would be also something which we'll be releasing today. Any other questions?
तू मेळना म्हाका.
We can hear you, Vishwanath.
Okay, I think there are no more questions, so I hand it over to Vishwanath for further proceedings.
Thank you, Gaurav. I think we have had a very good and a positive response for today's webinar. Probably it is the first of its kind, where three or rather four organizations have come together to dispense information about the MSME schemes to its stakeholders on the MSME day today. And we would like to have more of such kind of webinars so that all the schemes which are available to all the businessmen reaches to its the stakeholders. So on behalf of Goa branch, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's webinar, which is organized by Goa branch of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, along with Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Goa State Industries Association, EDC, and Government of Goa. We had the distinguished presence of Chief Minister of Goa, Shri Pramod Sawant ji, for today's webinar. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule and guiding us on this occasion. We also had the privilege of having Shri Ralph D'Souza, President of Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Shri Anirudh Dhempo, Vice President of Goa State Industries Association, and also B.S. Pai Angale, Managing Director of EDC. Thank you so much, sir, for guiding us on this day. We would also like to thank our chairman of WIRC, Murtaza Kanchwala, sir, for uh, for uh, for your presence here on this webinar. Also, uh, a deepest thanks and gratitude to all the three faculties: John D'Souza, Deputy General Manager of EDC, Geeta Joshi, Madam, and CA Navjot Singh, for their guidance for this webinar. We hope all the participants must have benefited from from your presentations. So thank you so much, everybody, all the participants, for making this seminar happen, and we look forward for this association in the years to come. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.